This is one of the most bizarre and controversial topics in history. It's about a society so pure that they sacrifice their own children. But why? And what kind of person would be chosen for this ceremony? Deep within the icy embrace of the Peruvian highlands, a ritual unfolded, leaving an enigma that continues to baffle and intrigue us to this day. At least 200 years before the Spanish conquistadors arrived, a strange practice was carried out in the heart of the Inca Empire. High atop snow-capped mountains, the Inca people had a chilling custom of leaving children to die of exposure, freezing to death as an offering to the gods. This ritual involved the ceremonial sacrifice of children who were chosen to serve as messengers between the Inca and their deities. They built impressive roads, cultivated fertile fields, and created a society where order and harmony prevailed. They studied the constellations, read the patterns of nature, and consulted their oracles to understand the will of the gods. Their response to these messages from the divine was nothing short of extraordinary. Once the child was deemed ready, a procession formed, carrying the child towards the temple. The journey was not merely a physical one, but a spiritual test as well. The child had to demonstrate unwavering bravery, showing no fear or hesitation along the way. With a final prayer, the child was laid down on a stone slab, their body carefully positioned to align with the cardinal points of the compass. Their movements were frenzied, their chants echoed through the chamber. The child, still alive, was left alone in the dimly lit space. The reason behind this ghastly display was simple yet profound. The Inca believed that by exposing the child's heart, they were symbolically offering a part of their soul to the gods. Then the ceremony took a terrifying turn. Among the most revered were the Capacocha, meaning the chosen vessel. These were children who were not only physically perfect but also came from noble lineages and were known for their impeccable behavior. And in Africa, the kingdom of Dahomey had a horrifying tradition of offering human lives to their deities. But the Incas stood out for their unique criteria. You would dance and chant, beat drums and sound trumpets, creating an atmosphere of intense devotion and anticipation. You are responsible for ensuring that the ceremony goes off without a hitch, that the child is perfect, and that the gods are appeased. Any mistake could have dire consequences, not only for you, but for the entire empire. As you say your final goodbyes, you pray that the gods will accept the sacrifice and grant the Inca continued prosperity. The ritualistic items found alongside the mummies, such as ceramics, textiles, and jewelry, provide clues about the Incas' understanding of the spiritual realm. This analysis not only confirms their close relationship to modern-day Andean populations, but also helps trace the genetic origins of the Inca people. By offering the purest of their young, they believed they were ensuring the continued prosperity of their empire. Throughout history, various cultures have resorted to human sacrifices to appease their gods. To think that their lives were cut short in such a brutal manner is a sobering reminder of the extremes to which human societies can go. By taking children from different regions of the empire, the Inca rulers demonstrated their power over distant provinces. This practice served as a reminder that no matter how remote a community was, the Inca authority could reach them. It was believed that in this state of vulnerability, the child's spirit would ascend to the heavens, becoming one with the divine. The Capacocha were presented before the Inca emperor, who would examine them for any flaws, any weakness that would disqualify them from being a suitable messenger to the gods. It also involved an assessment of the child's character, lineage, and the needs of the empire. They sought to please their gods, maintain order in the universe, and assert imperial control, all while offering the purest of their young as vessels to the divine. While these rituals may seem barbaric to us today, they were an integral part of the Inca way of life. By studying them, we gain a deeper understanding of one of the most enigmatic civilizations of the ancient world. The Inca rulers had a deep understanding of their subjects, and they used this knowledge to select children who would be acceptable to the gods and beneficial to the empire. If found wanting, the child would be sent back for further training. But if deemed worthy, they would be celebrated with great festivities. As you watch the child's spirit ascend to the heavens, you feel a mixture of sadness and awe. You know that you are witnessing something truly special, a moment that will connect the Inca to the divine for eternity. Frozen in time, they offer physical and medical insights into the Inca way of life. Analysis of their remains reveals a fascinating array of information, from their diet to their overall health. They were taught the ways of the Inca religion, trained in the arts of war and diplomacy, and groomed to be the perfect representatives of the Inca nation. However, to the Inca themselves, these rituals were not acts of cruelty, but expressions of love and respect for the divine. They were taken to the Temple of the Sun in Cusco, the spiritual heart of the Inca Empire. Here, in the presence of the Inca nobility, they performed the most sacred rituals of all. They visited sacred sites, met with local leaders, and were exposed to the vastness and diversity of their people. These tombs were often located in remote areas, deep within caves or on the slopes of volcanoes. Inca records, both written and oral, are surprisingly silent on the subject, leaving historians and anthropologists to piece together the details from fragmented accounts and archaeological evidence. This shroud of mystery only deepens the enigma of the Inca and their beliefs. The Inca believed that by placing the body in such places, they were bringing the child closer to the gods. Their homes were meticulously cleaned, their bodies adorned with ornaments, and their finest garments set aside for the momentous occasion. They checked the child's teeth to ensure they were intact, their limbs to ensure they were strong, and their eyes to ensure they were bright and full of life. Only when the child was deemed absolutely perfect were they allowed to proceed further into the temple. The children, both boys and girls, were groomed to be the most attractive offering possible. Here, the child would enter a chamber adorned with images of gods and ancestral rulers. Inside, they were led through a labyrinth of tunnels until they reached a central chamber. In the center stood an altar crafted from a single block of granite. It was here that the fate of the child would be decided. Their long dark hair was braided, their skin was painted with natural dyes, and their bodies were decorated with jewelry made of precious metals and stones. Natural disasters, wars, and civil unrest were a constant threat, casting a shadow over the Inca way of life. But these sacrifices were far from ordinary. They were among the most perfect of the Inca society, children who embodied the ideals of beauty, nobility, and purity. What secrets do the frozen mummies hold? And how did science change our perspective of this mysterious ritual? Join us as we explore the shocking truth behind the Inca custom of sacrificing the purest of their blood. The Inca rulers, considered descendants of the sun god, believed they had a direct connection to the divine, and their role was to maintain balance between the human world and the spirit realm. The heart of the Andes Mountains held secrets so profound they chilled the bones and challenged the very core of human understanding. In the midst of this desolate landscape, a custom so peculiar it seems straight out of a horror movie unfolded. The Inca, a civilization renowned for its majestic stonework and intriguing customs, had a unique way of handling death, especially when it came to children. As we delve deeper into this mystery, we uncover a tale that is both haunting and thought-provoking. The chilling practice known as Capacocha, meaning to give or deliver to Pachamama, the earth goddess. During the height of the Inca Empire, around the 15th century, this custom was an integral part of their religious practices. Among the most sacred of these rituals was the Entraga Aster, also known as the sacrifice of the blooming flower. As the empire flourished, the Inca leaders made every effort to ensure the prosperity of their people. In the face of these adversities, the Inca looked to the stars for guidance. When the time came, the preparations for the ritual began. The Inca believed that the physical perfection of the child symbolized the perfection of the Inca nation as a whole. Upon arrival at the temple, the child was received by the priests who conducted a final examination. At the heart of the temple complex lay the most sacred chamber of all. The priest would approach the child, and with a ceremonial knife, make an incision in their chest, just deep enough to expose the beating heart. The priests, dressed in animal skins and masks, began to dance. This act, known as the Apertura del Alma, or opening of the soul, was the most crucial moment of the ritual. Once the ritual was complete, the body of the child was carefully wrapped in fine cloth and placed in a specially constructed tomb. The secrecy surrounding these rituals adds another layer of intrigue to the already puzzling practice. But many outsiders, the Inca religion, with its emphasis on blood sacrifice and human offerings, appears brutal and incomprehensible. As the Inca Empire reached its zenith, its influence stretched far beyond the borders of modern-day Peru. But with power comes responsibility. And the Inca leaders knew that to maintain the balance of the cosmos, sacrifices were necessary. However, not all sacrifices were created equal. To be chosen as a Capac, Hacha was considered the ultimate honor, a recognition of the family's status and the child's potential. When the time came, the Capacocha were taken away from their families and prepared for their new life as spiritual messengers. Their journey was long and arduous, often taking them to the most remote corners of the empire. Finally, after years of training, they reached the most important leg of their journey. And then came the ultimate test. Families would rejoice, for their child had been chosen to represent the Inca at the highest level. The Aztecs, Mayans, and other Mesoamerican civilizations were known for their blood rituals. It's a disturbing thought, but to the Inca, it was a necessary one. Imagine being one of the Inca priests preparing for such a ritual. The pressure would be immense. On the day of the ceremony, you would don your most elaborate robes, cover your body with ceremonial paint, and don a mask that represents the gods. Then comes the most unsettling part, the moment when the child is laid on the altar and their chest is opened. After the ceremony, you would take part in the burial of the child, placing valuable items in their tomb to ensure their comfort in the afterlife. The discovery of these mummies has provided an invaluable window into the past. Moreover, the preservation of their bodies has shed light on Inca beliefs regarding death and the afterlife. But perhaps the most haunting aspect of these discoveries is the realization that these were real children. Children with hopes, dreams, and families who loved them. However, these sacrifices were not solely about appeasing the gods. They were also a means of asserting imperial control. Moreover, the selection process for the sacrifices was not merely based on physical perfection. In the end, the Inca practiced a form of human sacrifice that was both fascinating and disturbing.